the normalized data, while the selected group or the PGIS and VGIS give the selected group of data. So they are well addressed within this research paper. So there's a high impact with the PPGIS. As I told you before, it gives a normative aspiration because all the public as a whole can work together there. So the public participation and impact in the planning process is high. But collaboration or even empowerment rather than involvement in construction would be preferred public participation impact rather than going for the selected group of people. So now let's see what are the addressed things in this research paper. So they have gone through the decade of time. So within that, they have addressed some things in environmental planning and decision making, things like national forest and national parking planning, regional conservation planning, marine and coastal area conservation, like things. So they have focused on the developed countries like United States, Australia, New Zealand, like countries, and between the period of 1998 to 2011. So within that period, they have researched on 17 PPGI studies. So I'm sorry for this image. It's not clear. It's extracted from the research paper. This clearly elaborates how the PPGIS and selected. It means PGIS and VGIS changes, how it gives different kind of information. In the bottom middle image, you can clearly gives lot of information when compared with the all other information, all other images. It's because you can see that all values of the E or the middle bottom middle image gives the values taken from the PPGIS, all values in all communities, but other are only extracted people. It means some selected communities are giving the data, so it's the selected GIS, but the middle one is PPGIS. So the research paper has clearly addressed how that impacts. So they have gone through 17 of them. So I'm not going to talk about all of them. So I have chosen two of the examples. So in the year 2011, by using the Google Maps, they have done the PPGIS study on Otago region. So planning purpose was regional conservation. So by that, they have referenced these references, and when coming into the decision making process, they have found that landscape values, aesthetic scenic, these areas are valuable because they contain attractive scenery like things, and they have given up the decisions. And with that, likewise, they have addressed those kind of PPGIS, 17 of PPGIS data within this research paper. So when going to detail, they also have found that tourism development in location in Kangaroo Island in South Australia. You can see in different colors, they have shown that different, they have addressed different areas. So you can see that with that, they have gone for graphical elaboration. So there it shows how the decision making process goes. So each color gives each color cage. So it interrelates there. So you can see that clearly it makes easy to take the decisions. So this graph shows the decision making process when combined with the PPGIS process. So my colleagues will explain about these applications in detail, and I invite Ashora to continue from here.
Thank you, Kasunta. Now you may have a question. Who is this public in PPGIS? According to the previous definition, public may include decision makers, implementers, affected individuals, interested observers, or random public. This random public represents all the people or people in the group. In this picture, you can see the model of participation. There are 5 stages. Under Inform, they provide stakeholders with information to assist them in understanding the issues and options. Consult means obtain feedback on analysis options and decisions. Involve means work directly with stakeholders throughout the process to ensure their issues and concerns are consistently understood and considered. Collaborate means the partner with stakeholders in each aspects of the decision, including the development of options. The final stage is empower, which means the final decisions lies with the stakeholders. The data for the PPGIS can be collected from general public using multiple spatial methods. Here you can see 4 methods of collecting information. The first picture shows the paper map and markers. The second one represents paper maps and sticker dots. Third picture shows how information can be collected from Flash-based internet application. The last one is Google Maps or Earth Internet applications. This spatial mapping can be used for several other purposes, such as social mapping, which means identifying people, livestock, children who do or do not go to school, people in different livelihood, and other social categories, wealth and well-being groups. And health mapping means it actually for people with health problems, disabilities, and special knowledge in communities. Third one is mobility mapping, is for those who goes where, for what, and how often. Education in school by school children with varying degrees of creative. Water and sanitation, for example, the rural villages in India, the mapping areas of open defecation is a key element in the spreading movement for community-led total sanitation. The farm mapping combined with mapping of nutrient flow within the farm and over the farm boundaries, and also prevention of crime in some areas of South Africa. Identification of locations such as molestation, assault, and rape, and their degree of risk. This public participation contributes to the better decision because decision makers have more complete information in the form of additional facts, values, and perspectives obtained through public input to bring to bear on the decision process. They can then incorporate the best information and expertise of all the groups. What is social landscape metrics? Actually, it measures the composition and configuration of human perceptions of landscapes from multiple study areas using empirical data from PPIG studies, and this may be useful in planning and management of public lands such as national forest, parks, resource management areas. The social landscape metrics consist of two classes: inductive landscape metrics and the boundary landscape metrics. Inductive landscape metrics consist of higher intensities of human perceptions and values rather than the presence of some biological or physical landscape features. In the boundary landscape metrics, it includes PPIG's attribute, frequency, dominance, density, and diversity, as well as indices that measure conflict potential. So I invite Charlika to continue this presentation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Yashora. I'm Shali Koskola. Good day for all. First, let's move quickly to the discussion part. 5 social goals. There are main 5 social goals which should be able to accomplish by every PPGIS project. First one is the process should be educate and inform the public. That is a major advantage to general public as they also get the chance to learn. Second one is incorporate public values into decision making. Third one is improve the quality of decision. That's also very important. Increase trust in institutions. And the fifth one is reduce conflict. That means the idea by expertise and public should not be in that controversial in that area. So let's discuss about challenges described in this paper. The primary evaluation criterion in this article is to find out whether the public values measured by PPGIS process has been used into environmental and regional decision making. The author of this article says that he need more evidence for this. He explained by his own experiences. Let's move that one of his experience. This is about PPGIS for the Coconina National Forest in Arizona. conducted between 2006-2007. Then author was able to discover more than 8,000 observations of the forest values and special places. After several years, actual development project started by the forest management team. He said especially mentioned that there is a valuable set of PPGIS data and should be used. But until the time this paper article got published, his collected data has not been used. Now we move to the why government agencies are reluctant to engage in PPGIS program. The main highlighted reasons as per paper, first one is regulatory barriers to public participation. Government agencies are reluctant to engage PPGIS method. Second one is lack of experience. Government agencies lack of experiences in public participation technique. Next one is fear of general public. Next one is expert lay divide. Last one is lack of specific derivatives to engage the public. Next subtopic, influenced by explosion of GIS application. We all know that there has been greater development of GIS, as Mr. Kasunta explained also. So the GIS part got developed, but the problems start with the PP letters. Yes, public participation, as Yashora explained. Compared to GIS growth, public participation part has not become matured. The author had explained it with a very nice example. So you can see that example below. A web-based PPGIS application for the Victoria Park. They gave high-tech facility to collect data such as 3D mapping techniques, advanced layering methods, and also a lot of various new technologies provided to the people. According to that 2012 that area, that time period, but it was used very few people that technologies. Finally they have to collect data by a ordinary way, like in the picture you can see. Then so with that they have to use some methods to increase public participation. For that they have to price drawing, lotteries used, and encourage stakeholders, various rewards, and mass media advertisement also they have to use. Especially note this method was 2012, but in this time they have a lot of social media also. So let's go to the conclusion. So finally, by this whole article and our presentation, we want to highlight PPGIS to have sustained important impact on regional and environmental planning. Agencies must meaningfully encourage and engage the public irrespective to the GIS component. Finally, even though this PPGIS method are more than a decade old, usage of its information for decision making and planning has still been limited. Thank you for all listening. Let's move to the question part. Kasunta, you
Any
can share
questions?
screen. Can you share screen?
Any questions? Yes.
Hello, I have a question there. What are the good outcomes of PPGIs? I mean, apart from selective methods?
Thank you. That's a very interesting question. So I'll start it with the same example what I was describing. The COVID cases. As an example, when we consider the China, initially it said their COVID deaths are at around below 1,000. I can't remember the exact value. But thereafter, suddenly they have changed the value to 4,000, something like that. So there, what they have done was they are not having a clear, it means public is not involved in there. The government is getting the data and they are giving out the data. In that case, they can't, as a word, we can't get a clear decision there. So how COVID moves there, what is the death rate, we don't have any idea with that. So that's a selective group of people are getting the data and making the decisions. But if we apply the public, means as a whole, let's consider USA, they are giving the data clearly. So they are whole public. It means by province, each provincial council and each states, they have differentiated data, and they are getting the data from the public. So we can address the problem clearly and give the correct answers for that. So with that we can come, it means at the end, we have normalized set of data when we are using the PPGIS. Apart from the selective group of people are doing the GIS, so it's open and we can come to a good decisions there, and we can solve any problem, and we there's a transparency, and that's uh, that's I think you got the answer with that.
Yeah. Any other answer? Any other questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
You mentioned about the challenges in the public participation. So whether they used any methods or any other factors to overcome those challenges?
Yes, there are several challenges. Planners tend to lack knowledge of its methods and best practices, and also problems with quality of the data collected. They're subjected to lack of systematic analysis. These are some challenges. These can be overcome by introducing a collection of digital tool that allows planners to access map data online to reach more people and improve the participating planning process for planners and the researchers. I think you've got the answer.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
With that, I have also add something to that.
Yeah.
To increase public participation, actually, as Yashora said, we are going to GIS implementing that, and it also have a lot of problem, because GIS, the public is actually the real general public in that area, in that we are planning to some implement any national forest or anything that in that area has something very lack of knowledge people. So if we are going to the introduce that new technologies, that again it came some problems. So there should be a more practical solution. Actually in this paper also they are talking, they have no any magic formula for that. The author also said that there is no magic formula to get people participation very good. Actually that's why they a lot of time using NGO also. NGO have different kind of the purpose, but they can also use for this. Actually that is very practical, and we have to think very smart to get public participation and their support.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question, a clarification rather. Now, when you going to get the public participation, what are the paper? Have the paper is mentioned about any ethical guidelines or considerations in terms of exposed to data, uh, collection of data, some are sensitive data. Any ethical considerations mentioned in the paper?
Actually, sir, they have not mentioned about ethical issues directly. Only they are trying to that promote PPGIS. So, as an intention, they are saying that they wanted to promote the PPGIS, and they have taken some examples from some conferences. I can't remember those. There were three conferences they have addressed. In those conferences, they are telling that to promote PPGIS. So apart from that, they are not addressed on which kind of ethical.
Kasunta, yeah, I will add that question also. Actually, they have actually means there's some kind of at the discussion part. Kasunta has there are some few points, so I will add it here. 5 social goals mean that I think something related to this question. And this is I think these 5 goals made with that ethical also. I think Kasunto also agree with me. Those points actually came from the some ethical things. You can say the process should be educate and inform the public. That means the all the public they should get educate. And also another example here. So why government agencies are reluctant to engage in the PPGS for that is mainly that's a point here, regulatory barriers to public participation. In this here you can hear example to collect PPGIS data upon US population approval by office management. They have OMB, but they get permission. Usually it takes more than 1 year. Actually this is the this is some barriers, because any NGO or any country cannot go to the any national forest and collect data, because that area and that regional house their authority. So that's why
Yeah.
these are challenges.
Okay, okay, I'm clear. Yes, those points you pointed out is very correct. That reflect the concern for the ethical aspects of public participation, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to the other part of the presentation now. Uh, yeah, here we go.